From Zika to Ebola, predicting the next epidemic can be a lot like finding a needle in a haystack. But the medical community is making advances at a faster pace than ever before. Meg Tirrell has tonight's Modern Medicine report.
New outbreaks of major infectious diseases have dominated the headlines in recent years, and for a good reason.
If you just look at, let's say, from 2013, which is only 3 years from 13 to 16, we've had chikungunya in the Caribbean, we've had Ebola in West Africa, and now we have Zika in the Americas. We've seen emerging infectious diseases forever. We have them now, we always will have them. But to have a cluster like that is a bit unusual.
In the last decade and a half, the world has coped with SARS, H1N1 influenza or swine flu, Middle East respiratory syndrome, chikungunya, Ebola, and now Zika. Public health researchers say it's a certainty there'll be another.
As much as we were unprepared that Ebola was going to explode as it did, that Zika was going to come along so suddenly, presumably the next pathogen could well be something that we haven't anticipated.
So how can we be better prepared? It's a question global health authorities have been asking since Ebola erupted in West Africa, ultimately killing more than 11,000 people.
We coordinated a lot during the Ebola epidemic, and we had a joint experience of really the tragedy that occurred in West Africa and our frustration that we couldn't do more to intervene.
At the same time, pharmaceutical companies, governments, and nonprofits were working together to produce experimental vaccines and therapeutics at a faster pace than ever before.
We were able to do, in 7 months, go from primate studies to phase 3 trials in thousands of individuals in Liberia. Normally, that takes anywhere between 5 and 10 years.
Trials for Zika vaccines are moving at an equally fast clip. But in both cases, the work began after the threat emerged.
The only way to be prepared and ready is to make vaccines against agents that we know exist, that we know have the potential to be outbreak agents like Ebola. And they're waiting, and that will happen at some moment. Let's make vaccines against them during a peacetime, if you wish.
It's a problem no single company, foundation, or government agency can solve alone. There are simply too many potential threats and too few resources in one place. So Sepi was formed, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations.
Well, Sepi is a novel partnership between both public and private sector entities that's really focused on preparing for potential future epidemic threats and doing it in a way that really is fundamentally different from previous opportunities where the mode has been far more reactive rather than proactive.
It has two main goals: start work now on identified future potential threats and develop new vaccine technologies to be able to respond quickly to unknown threats.
What we'd like to see in about 5 years is that we would have 2 or 3 of the key pathogens from the World Health Organization list of serious threats, where we have now a vaccine which can be stockpiled. And we'd like those at least to have, let's say, 2 new platforms that they are produced on.
The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases' Dr. Anthony Fauci says these kinds of efforts are vital to protecting the world from whatever comes next.
We will continue to see outbreaks as the years go by. They're unpredictable in their frequency. We don't know if it's going to happen next month, next year, or a few years from now, but inevitably it will happen, and that's the reason why we need to be better prepared.
For Nightly Business Report, I'm Meg Tirrell.